Lobbing Scorchers has partnered with NordVPN because, let's be real, if you're watching those live soccer matches on less than legitimate streaming sites, you're putting your personal data at risk. NordVPN is offering Lobbing Scorchers listeners their Black Friday deal right now. You can get 72% off plus 3 months extra for free. NordVPN encrypts your connection, hides your IP address, and keeps your identity safe, so you can focus on the game without worrying about your pesky ISP monitoring you. Protect up to 10 devices, browse safely on public Wi-Fi, and avoid trouble with their Threat Protection Pro. It's the smartest way to watch your favorite matches securely. So check out the link in the description to get 72% off, 3 months free, and help support this show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 75 of Lobbing Scorchers. This is Ari Liljenwall. I've got producer Noah here with me remotely. And folks, we have had some technical difficulties. We've had a battle with technology, as happens sometimes on Lobbing Scorchers. But I think we've got it all figured out. And Noah, we are set to record. This is our we've had multiple attempts. We are set to record the biggest dub pot in Lobbing Scorchers history. How are you feeling?
It was so big, it broke the scales, it broke the platform, it broke all recording metrics. We're in for a good one.
It's going to be a good one. Yeah, that's right, folks. The Seattle Sounders, they did it. They went down to LAFC for the Western Conference Semifinals, and they won a 2-1 victory in what I think can comfortably be called one of the greatest performances in club history. I mean, we're going to talk about exactly where it ranks in that pantheon. But it's certainly up there with the best of them. Jordan Morris with one of the best goals in club history, one of the best goals of his career, extra time game winner to break a 1-1 deadlock and send the Seattle Sounders to the Western Conference Final, where they're going to take on the LA Galaxy. And if they win, Noah, the Seattle Sounders host MLS Cup. How does that sound? And how crazy is it that that's something that I just said, given where we were earlier in the season?
I mean, this is how we drew it up, Ari. This is exactly what we knew, how it was going to happen. We predicted this preseason. There was no problems throughout this season. It's exactly how we drew it up. Definitely how Brian Schmetzer drew it up. And who's stoked? Let's win this next game and host MLS Cup again.
Yeah, that's right. But before we do that, we do have to lay down the dub pod. We're going to hit our game review. We're going to hit our agenda check. We're going to hit your questions. And then we're going to talk about the other results in the semifinals around MLS. We're going to size up these conference finals, preview this game against the Galaxy a little bit. There's kind of a lot to get to too later in the show, Noah, because there's a lot of MLS news with coaching entrances and exits. Inter Miami's got a new coach. Atlanta United's coach is gone. New York City's coach is gone. So just a lot going on in MLS right now between the playoffs and all the news that's happening. We're going to talk about all of it. But before we do that, I do have to let you all know that Lobbing Scorchers is a part of the Sounder at Heart podcast network. If you want to get the best independent Seattle soccer coverage, consider supporting us by going to sounderatheart.com/LS. That's sounderatheart.com/LS. Scroll down to subscribe and support to get 30 days completely free. Every sign up through our link helps support and grow this show. Noah, we have a new sub to thank, don't we? Who do we got?
Yeah, we do. Rick Kosick. Rick, thank you so much for being number 47, Agent 47, perhaps, of the Lobbing Scorchers podcast. You're the GOAT. Thank you for subscribing. Ari, if they want to join the ranks of Rick and all 47 others, where do they go?
sounderatheart.com/LS. Thank you, Rick. We love and appreciate you. We love and appreciate all of our subscribers. If you're listening to this and you have not done so yet, sub to the Lobbing Scorchers YouTube. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on there right now. If you're not subbed, you're going to want to. The road to 700 is alive and well. We've closed that gap. We're despite some of the controversy that we've been embroiled in. Lobbing Scorchers has had a controversial last couple of days too, so I think we're gonna have to talk about that at some point. But we are 2 subs away from 700 on the Lobbing Scorchers YouTube, so sub there. And also we hit triple dig on the Instagram today, which is a big milestone.
There we go.
So sub to our
We're
Instagram
up.
too, please. There's actually some of the content we've been putting up there has been pretty good too. So
yeah, we've been putting some memes up there as well, some more shareable content. Well, we're venturing in. We're venturing in.
All right, let's get to this dub pod. We got to lay down this dub pod. Like I said, it's one of the I think it's the biggest dub pod in Lobbing Scorchers history, certainly. And you know, I guess before we get into our lineup reaction and the key moments and everything, I mean, I think it's worth just kind of I want to I don't want to let this moment kind of get blown by. I think these types of wins are worth savoring and soaking in, like without a doubt. That's kind of the feeling I've always had when coming off the wins like this, of which we've been fortunate to witness a lot of big wins like this following Seattle. But like this, games like this and wins like this is why we do it. That was the prevailing feeling that I had after the game, was just the allure and the excitement of potentially getting wins like that is like we're always chasing that dragon of results like that. And it's been a hell of a ride getting as many of them as the Sounders have given us. And this is just the latest one, and this was one of the best ones.
Yeah, this felt so sweet, not only because it was the final get back game against LAFC. It felt like the sweetest revenge of all time. But even more than that, the way that this season has played out, the way the twists, the turns, the very deep downs and the very high highs, this is like this has to be one of my favorite Sounders matches that I have ever watched. And I'm telling you, I was planning to go down to this game and I didn't end up doing it. And I had never had more FOMO in my life sitting on my couch.
I know I wasn't there either. And I was at the one in 2019, and I had the same type of feeling. But we are both going to LA for the
Yeah,
Galaxy game, so
I know.
hit
We'll
us
have
up
good
if
content
you're.
from that.
We're gonna be making content, and if you're going down there for the game and you want to say hi, let us know for sure. All right, yeah, I think that was all. I think that was well said. Like I just this win, it deserves to be savored. It deserves to be recognized in the pantheon of great wins that this club has had over this last era, where there's been a lot of these. All right, but let's talk about this game. Let's talk about this game
Let's
itself.
break it down.
This was gonna be a fun one to break down. I mean, we had a Jordan Morris game winner. We had LAFC score the funniest own goal I've ever seen. So
A
let's
straight
get into it.
banger on both of
Um,
those goals, by the way.
I think as good as Jordan's goal was, Maxime Chanot's was arguably better.
It was a
Um,
perfect strike.
let's do our lineup reaction, because there's a lot going on with this lineup. You had Jordan and Rusnak back after missing game 2 in Houston, but no Nuhu and no Paul Rothrock. And there was a Paul Rothrock update within the last hour or so. Actually, Brian Schmetzer was doing his hit on KJR with Softy, and he said that Paul Rothrock is going to miss the rest of the season of the playoffs. With the quad injury that's been keeping him out, so no Paul Rothrock in this game, no Paul Rothrock in the Galaxy game, and if Seattle does make MLS Cup, he won't be playing there. So I guess let's just take a moment to shout out Paul Rothrock. I mean, he's
Yeah.
been, I think, the key character on Lobbing Scorchers really since episode 1. And it started as a bit, it became a real thing, and by the end of this season, he became a nationally known name. We had Max Bretos on this show. And we did like 10 minutes on Paul Rothrock.
Yeah.
So shout out to Paul Rothrock. Like, in all seriousness, like he really added a fun storyline at a time of the season when it really needed it. And then he became like one of the feel good stories in MLS this year.
Yeah. I
So,
mean,
yeah, best wishes to him in his recovery, and he'll be back next year. You better believe.
oh yeah. No, I mean, we would not be in this position as a club without Paul Rothrock. So, I think his presence and clearly his sacrifice physically to get them into this position. Shout out to our boy. We love you. We love you, Paul. Thank you, King. Get better soon. And this trophy, if we win it, is dedicated to you.
But so this lineup, you had John Bell in this lineup, you had RBW in this lineup. You had De La Vega starting over Georgie, which that's been subject of some debate. But I think when I looked at this lineup, my first thought was, okay, well, if they do get this win, this is going to make it even better, because you've got
Yeah.
got a little bit of a rotated lineup, or like you got some key guys out. If you take the dub in this situation with this lineup, that makes it even sweeter. And God damn it, that turned out to be correct, didn't
Yeah.
it? What a performance! It was shades of like the remember the Austin FC game, the famous Rui Diaz and a bunch of teenagers games. This was not like that lineup. That lineup was the youngest lineup in MLS history, but it was like a similar idea of going into a game as the underdog already and then undermanned on top of it and still getting the win. So I think out of all I'm going to do a sequence where I give out my flowers to everyone later on. But John Bell and RBW absolutely in there.
Yeah, and I
No,
mean, the young contributors were insane. Like played lights out. I mean, you're not even mentioning Obed, but I think Obed had his best performance of his career in this match.
Brian Schmetzer said after the game that he thought Obed was the best player on the field. I mean, Stephen Fry, I might pick, but like the fact that Obed is in that discussion, I think this was one of, if not his best game of the season. I think probably given the magnitude of the game, this was probably his best game as a pro. All right, key moments and observations. Let's talk about the first half to start because there was no goals in this game until the second half. But going into a game like this, the things that I'm looking for are when you're the road team, the first 15 to 20 minutes of the game are all about withstanding whatever pressure that the home team is gonna bring at you right after kickoff. A team with a home field advantage as good as LAFC, they're going to come at you early. They're going to try and get out on the front foot. Can you weather that? Can you withstand that? Can you get through that just initial part of the game without conceding? That's sort of, it's like your first test. I look at it as a game as a series of like tests. You need to get from point A to point B, accomplishing this task. In this case for Seattle, point A was kickoff. Point B was getting through the first 15 to 20 minutes in control of the game state and without conceding. And they did that. And they were able to do that, I thought, for the whole first half. And I don't know about, I'm interested to hear how you were feeling. But when this game got to halftime and it was still 0-0, the thing that was going through my mind was like, okay, this is winnable. This is winnable right now. LAFC, they look fatigued. They look like a team, I think, that's played like over 200 games in the last like 3 years. That's a made up stat, but like they played a lot of games and they just did not look like their normal LAFC selves. I didn't think really at all during this game, save for like the one sequence where Hollingshead scored. But I do think the first thing that you have to credit from a Seattle perspective with this performance and getting this win was how they managed the first half and really how they managed this whole game.
Yeah, no, my entire giant flower. I'm throwing my flowers already. I know you'll get to yours later, but Brian Schmetzer played this game so well. Set it up defensively to tire out and frustrate LAFC. And huge credit to the entire back line for pocketing Giroud. I mean, Giroud was effectively a double agent in this game with how ineffective he was. Like, that was crazy. The fact that we were able to just, I know he hasn't been super successful with LAFC so far, but even so, he's still a French national team legend, a man who can be dangerous when given the opportunity. And he was just completely ineffective. And then Denny Bwanga, completely ineffective. I mean, this was like insane. I was blown away after that first half, exactly like you were saying. I was like, whoa, like
I
we
think
can actually win this game.
I think everyone felt it. I think like the deeper into the game it got, everyone kind of got that same sense of like, this is here for the taking. And frankly, even after, this is a good segue to the Hollingshead goal, because that was the first goal in the game. LAFC scored first. Frankly, even when they scored, I still felt like the game was there for the taking. Very much so. It was a good goal by Hollingshead. It was tilting that it was Hollingshead because
it would be him, right?
It would be him, and how it has to be him. Apparently, Ryan Hollingshead is actually the most dangerous attacking player that LAFC has because he can't stop scoring against this. I feel like this like goes back to his FC Dallas days, dude.
100%.
Like,
no, he would torch the Sounders when he was on FC Dallas.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad I'm not crazy because like after he scored this goal, I was like, how many times is this 12-year veteran MLS lifer going to score against the Seattle Sounders? But no, I mean, in all seriousness, this was the one sequence in the game where LAFC looked like LAFC. They got out in transition. They had the numerical advantage there. Bogus sends in a good low cross. And honestly, I really can't, like Yamar sort of whiffed on the challenge, if I remember correctly, but like Hollingshead, that was like a striker's finish in the box. Yeah. That was like a Rui Diaz finish. So
I rewatched it. And honestly, I thought that goal. It was a great goal. One, he positioned himself really well. I mean, Ryan Hollingshed is just great in transition and in movement. Like he's just so good in that space. He reminds me a lot. I mean, like Paul Rothrock reminds me a lot of him in terms of his just like the way he can sense space and get in really well. But I mean, yes, Yamar didn't close him down quick enough. But I think that like the defending that he did do, it was the best he could do given the position that Hollingshed was already in by the time the defensive transition had happened, if that makes any sense.
Well, and I think, for me, I don't go into a game like this expecting to necessarily keep a clean sheet against LAFC. Obviously, like
No.
if you can, that would be awesome, but you're playing them on the road in the playoffs. They are very likely, I mean, they're pretty much assured to get one on you, and it's pretty likely that they're going to get multiple goals on you. And really, it's about if you can hang with them offensively, it would seem. Um, so yeah, like I said, just based on how the game went to that point, even when Hollingshead scored that, I very much felt like Seattle was still in the game. And Sure enough, less than 10 minutes later, they get their equalizer via what I think will go down as one of the all-time golazos in Seattle Sounders history. And really, I think the man who scored this goal, I consider him not just a legend of the Seattle Sounders, but a legend of the city of Seattle as a whole for his service to our city. And I'm talking about Maxime Chanot. Um,
Build the
it,
statue.
build the statue outside of Lumen Field for this one. This was a hilarious own goal, and honestly, just like there's so many little things about this game that just make it so good, and the fact that this was the equalizer is so good. It like people, everyone, when you see an own goal, people are like, that doesn't, you can't credit the attacking team for that because that's a fluke, that's a defensive error. So like you got lucky is basically the implication anytime there's an own goal. I don't think all own goals are necessarily created equal. I think this was an own goal where it happens. It's a situation where Seattle creates their own luck through a dangerous sequence of play where
Mhm.
Albert Rusnak did a great job on this play to win the ball and then find Obed out wide in that space, right? Obed,
Mhm.
he gets the ball out wide and sends in a low cross that's tough for the CB to deal with. Uh,
Yeah.
he dealt with it as poorly as he possibly could have, but that doesn't happen unless you put him in a difficult situation to handle, So
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think what I'm saying is it's a long way of saying I think this was a just equalizer based on how the game had been going and the quality of the danger and the chance in that particular sequence. And Maxime Chanot, he's been a really good MLSCB. The year NYCFC won MLS Cup. Remember how good he
Oh yeah.
and the other CB on NYC were that year. So he's a good player. He got unlucky, but what I thought was funny was, he scored. It's like the roughest own goal I've seen all season in just a terrible spot. And then at the end of the 90, did you see how he was like praying? he was
Yeah,
like he was like
yeah.
thanking the heavens. And I think he was like thanking the heavens that they hadn't lost yet, but it was just I don't know. He was down bad. He was
He was
down
down
bad.
bad. He was
Um,
down bad. I mean, and you do like going back to Obed, especially on that play, like I thought he did such a good job in that small space to like be able to get to a position, get to the end line to get that cross off. Because yes, nobody was there for the Sounders in terms of like finishing that, but it's just like you say sometimes when you when you play a low driven ball into the box and it pings around, you never know, it might go in. Like there's a point to doing that. And clearly Obed knows that. He played that ball in, worked really hard to get to that position with great play off Albert Rusnak, who, I heard a lot of people talking shit about Albert. I think there was some fair criticism this game, but like they don't score that own goal without Albert making a really nice pass to Obed.
yeah, absolutely. Um, God, that own goal was so good.
It's
All
so
right,
good.
we got to talk about the game winner. This game goes to extra time.
Yeah.
Which all right, I guess first, let's talk about our feelings going into
Yeah.
extra
There were
time.
50 minutes before that of the Stefan Fry masterclass. I feel like we should hit on even more.
I was gonna hit on that after, but yeah, okay, all right. Let's do it chronologically. Um, Stefan Fry, I mean, was insane in this game. I asked on Twitter after the game if this was the best Stefan Fry game ever. Um, and I think there's like different criteria. Like obviously MLS Cup 16 with the save, um, that's like the highest stakes, highest magnitude moment that he's come through in, and that was a bigger game than a semifinal was. But in terms of just like the amount of shots he got bombarded by and the degree of difficulty on some of the saves, I mean, he saved the season. He saved the
Oh yeah.
season. There are multiple goals, both at the end of this in the second half and in extra time, that easily are could be goals if the goalkeeper doesn't stand on his head. And as he's done his whole career in Seattle, Stephen Fry was up for those moments. I think my favorite one. Let's talk about our favorite ones out of all these saves. Um, I thought the craziest one was, and everyone's going to be talking about the kick save on Bogus. I thought the craziest one was the reaction header on Hollingshead. Guys, if that goes in, that game is over. LAFC
Yeah.
wins,
Yeah.
and like that just there's so many scenarios where that play happens and that's a goal. Like,
Yeah.
um, and
I
Stephen
really
Fry.
liked the one where he smashed into the post
Yes, that was the other
in
one I was
like
gonna bring
what is
up.
like 105 or something, like 105th minute.
Oh, no,
Just
that was way later. That was 119th. Like,
okay, that was 119th. Sorry. So that was like that was like at the end. I mean, literally to save the game. Like
it goes to PKs if that one goes in, and, I mean, talk about putting your body on the line. Like,
yeah, I mean, he
he
like just laid it out
lunges
and
into the freaking post
yeah, whole
to make
body
that
weight just
save.
smokes the post. The whole goal's rattling. Like, dude,
Stephen Fry is
that
so
man is
MLS goated.
40. That man is 40. That's
He's pushing
amazing.
pushing 40, and he just had one of the best games, if not the best game of his career. Unreal stuff from the goalkeeper in this game. I really I couldn't even believe what I was watching at times. He was going off.
Tommy Dutra is the greatest coach of all time, of any position coach ever, because dude has Fry playing like a 21-year-old like La Liga Barcelona keeper. Like seriously.
That's what he was looking like out there. Um, was there anything else in the second half that we wanted to hit before we get to extra time? Because really, I was rushing because I want to get to this JMO game winner breakdown.
I mean, I want to get to this JMO game winner too.
Okay, but before we do that, let's hit on our mindset going into extra time because
Yeah.
I think nerves and tensions were high at that point. I don't know, man. I felt good. I felt good the whole time. It's
I
weird.
felt yeah.
It felt like the 19 game where going into that game, kind of like this game, my expectations were pretty low. I was pretty sure Seattle was going to lose both of these games. But then as the game gets like further and further into it, and you kind of see how the guys on the team are feeding off the moment and playing up to it, like as an observer, you kind of start to feel that same like belief, right? That's how I felt. How did you feel?
I felt like nervous because I wasn't seeing a lot of attacking output, but I also I was trying to I was like, okay, like we got through the 90. This next 10 minutes, this next 15 minutes is going to like dictate how I actually feel. Cuz I wasn't feeling confident or unconfident, it was just like I want to see how hard LA comes at us and if we can absorb that pressure because I knew that like all they're going to do is go LAFC is going to come out in a full on press, full on all out attack, see what they can do. If we can hold them for 15 minutes, I was like, we can win this game. If it's in PKs, it's in PKs. If we score some kind of goal, it's like that. Like they're going to tire themselves out in the next 15 minutes
Yeah.
because that's the Steve C plan. Like I mean, if I was at home on a playoff game against a team you've beat a billion times, that's exactly what I would tell my players to do too. Just
I,
balls
I
to the walls,
yeah.
try and score.
I think for me, like the other thing that was going through my mind was like you've given yourselves like a 50-50 toss chance, and that's really like all you could ask for in a
Yeah.
game like this where you're the underdog. You are not favored in the game and you're playing on the road. If you give yourself that 50-50 shot, you take that like going into it every time. And so it's a credit to Seattle for giving themselves that shot and getting to extra time where they got their game-winning goal. Let's break this goal down. 109th minute, Jordan Morris, one of the greatest goals in Seattle Sounders history. I think this was the best goal of his career.
Yeah.
Like not because of the stage of it, like the semifinal stage. I understand is not as big as some of the Champions League games and MLS Cups that this team has played. But when you take into account the LAFC bogey team storyline, some of the struggles that this team had on offense this year, some of the criticism that Jordan Morris has taken this season and his career from both
And
MLS
he had a
and
scoreless
US fans.
streak
He
coming
had a
into
scoreless
this.
streak coming into the game. Um, but just with what was riding on this game for Seattle, their whole season, the LAFC bogey team storyline, and also the quality of the finish and the goal itself, which we're going to talk about right now, all combined for what I think is this was the Jordan Morris Magnum Opus goal, in my opinion. This
I
was
love that.
this was footballing nirvana. The the uh the quality of the goal, the highlight, the moment, the celebration, and the win. Like I said, man, like a moment like that is why we do this, why we watch every single one of these games and follow this team obsessively as we do, is chasing moments like that. For him to deliver that amazing goal. Let's just break down the whole sequence because a lot of guys deserve credit on this play. It's a JP corner kick actually that goes into the mixer. LAFC, I think Ilie gets there for the clearance. Clearance goes up in the air. Christian rolled on this sequence is the first guy that you have to give credit to. He doesn't give up on the play. He closes down the space and gets to the clearance and just taps it back in the mixer, right? Which was that's the goal doesn't happen if Christian isn't heads up in that moment and doesn't make that play. He sends it back in the mixer. And then the next guy you have to give credit is Georgie. Georgie and Kai Kamara are going into a 50-50 challenge off the ball that Christian puts back into the box. And Georgie gets his body positioning right, wins it. Ball goes okay, this was my favorite. This was my favorite part of the sequence after Georgie wins his challenge and the ball starts rolling towards Jordan. What Jordan did here was just brilliant. It was brilliant. So he could have turned and uncorked first time right away, or what I thought he was going to do was hold it up and then try and like go from there. But
Yeah.
what he does is he turns his body to shield the defender off and just lets the ball roll into the perfect place for him where he has just enough space to get the shot off. And he just, I mean, he timed that up so well to where the ball was rolling just on a platter where he had the defender shielded off and he just had just enough space where it's just him and Hugo Lloris, the French national team legend, World Cup winning goalkeeper. Jordan Morris roofs it to the near post. Perfect placement. Ball game. LAFC season over. That's a playoff dub.
That's a playoff dub.
I mean, let's just bask in this goal in this moment for a sec, because God damn it, like what a goal and what a moment for a player that like I think has had a lot of adversity in his career. Like, honestly, if you take the US national team narratives and all that stuff out of it, just the injuries,
Yeah.
like adversity that he's overcome. But like the storyline of him being the hometown guy to Mercer Island native, homegrown star, uh already won a bunch of trophies for this team. But like I said, I think this was like a signature moment for Jordan Morris.
Yeah, and for him too, I think this is a big deal personally as someone who has constantly been battling internally with saying, I'm a nine. I know in my heart of hearts, I know that I am a striker. I can play the wing. I'll play wherever you want. Like I'm a team player, but I am your nine. And to go out there and score one of the most important goals in the history of this club, regardless of what happens, the narrative around this game and the narrative around Jordan Morris, that becomes one of the most important goals, I think, in club history.
I really and like I don't know. I know a lot of people might disagree with me on this, and everyone has like their own standards and expectations. I really feel like the rest of this season is like house money.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that, I very much feel like that. Obviously, now that you're this close to it, like yeah, go win
Go
cup,
win it.
and like they have reason to believe that they're able to do that. If they got eliminated by the Galaxy, I would feel pretty happy about this season. Like. I'm in it for moments like we got in this game, and I don't measure success by winning MLS Cup every single year, because I think
That's impossible.
it's impossible to do. And when you make that your barometer, you're just setting yourself up for not good mental health. So
Yeah, well, and like I was saying, and I actually still believe this, even if we win MLS Cup, this is the season of almost, right? Like, regardless of what happens, there are still gaps. There are still almost. So taking that into account, being like, okay, this is not the best season the Sounders are ever going to play. But man, what a fun storyline this has been. What a fun ride this has been. Like being able to go and follow this club, follow Jordan Morris's progression, follow all these other side stories, and then get to the Western Conference final. That's just gravy, man. That's just gravy.
all right, let's go through and give our flowers real quick. I want to go through and give every single person their credit that contributed to this result. We talked about a couple of them, so I won't spend that much time on the ones that we already talked about. But I mean, Stephen Fry goes without saying, one of the best games of his career. Jordan Morris goes without saying, one of the best goals, if not the best goal of his career. Extra time game winner. Obed Vargas, arguably the best game of his career. Oh man, like
He was doing every little thing
he's
right,
on
man.
he's on some different stuff right now.
He is. Did you see the video after too of him going over and hugging his dad and his dad getting super emotional and just so excited?
Yes.
Like that video, I will if you guys haven't seen it, go check out the Sounders Instagram page and stuff like that. It just shows you what this means to this club. And again, like we always talk about, it's so easy to love all of these homegrown talents. Like there's so much connection. It's just that made the whole game worth it. Like even 10 times better.
I have De La Vega and Rusnak on here, and I intentionally did that because I feel like they both didn't have like their best games. The De La Vega is still struggling, I think, and Rusnak, um, he was not cooking. I don't think like at the level that he has at times throughout the year. But when it mattered, and he needed to make a play, he made the play on the play where Jordan got the game winner, and he's been clutch this year for this team. His like I think the thing I'm most enjoyed about Rusnak this year is his dead balls. Like I'm
Yeah.
kind of just a sucker for a nice free kick, and he puts them
You're the
in
perfect Sounders fan, Ari.
Yeah, but as he puts them in as nice as about as nice as anyone in MLS right now. But like I think even in a game where you're maybe not playing your best, if you come through in that moment, like you deserve your credit for that. And I think Albert Rusnak did that. Like that Jordan doesn't get that goal if he or the own goal doesn't happen, I should say,
Right.
if he doesn't set up Obed for the cross. This is a big one. RBW and John Bell.
Yes.
RBW, well, okay, so let's talk about one of my other favorite moments of the game was when RBW was cramping or had his injury, and Ymar was trying to get him to go down so that they could stop play, but RBW wasn't going down. I think he was like trying to gut it out, and Ymar was like, "Go down," and he was like, "No." So Ymar pushed him,
just pushed him over. Yeah,
and the ref gave Ymar the yellow, and he was laughing about it. But that was
I love the dark arts, man.
that was a fun little. But in all seriousness, like an RBW John Bell lineup, who would give that a chance to do what the team did?
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean, I was critical.
John Bell. Let's talk about John Bell.
John Bell, I was critical of him. I think he looked tired, like towards the end of 90, kind of like probably like 20 minutes till 90, and then dude locked the fuck in for the rest of extra time. I mean, and we'll talk about the next person on the list. I think it even more personifies this, but next man up mentality, dude. John Bell. Whew,
Well, yeah, okay. So
my
and
man.
then let's talk about all the CBs. I mean, Reagan Ymar, like, what else do you even need to say? They've been beasting really like this. I think this whole last stretch of the season where Seattle's been playing up towards 2 points per game and basically running through everyone that wasn't LAFC and now is beating LAFC. It's been on the back of this Ymar Reagan CB duo, which I think most of the pundits and analysts consider the top starting CB duo in the league at the moment. So really, like, this team is going to go as far as the defense takes it. It was the best defense in the league this year as far as goals conceded. And you have to give these two guys most of the credit for that. But Yamar goes out of this game. Schmetz told Softy that there's like a 60% chance he'll play against the Galaxy. So we'll see if that happens. But I would honestly be a little surprised if he plays, given the nature of the injury, like a muscle injury, and how short of a turnaround there is before this game. But let's talk about Nathan.
Nathan, man.
Noah, I had forgotten he was on the team.
I was flipping through my yearbook, my Sounders FC media guide. I was like, who's this? What number is? Who is this?
Like, okay, I think everyone had like a similar reaction, when he subbed on, which was, oh yeah, he's still on the team, and oh, okay, this is not good. I'll tell you what, like after 2 or 3 minutes, I was like, he's got it. It's fine. Like, I think there's like a little revisionist stuff going on with Nathan. Like that signing is considered a bust, but not because he's a bad player. He's been injured all year.
He was injured, yeah.
Busting because of injury is different than busting because you're a bad player. I don't think he is a bad player. He was pretty good when he was on San Jose. So I don't think
he was just a high ticket price.
I don't think it's
what we got.
Exactly. But like, honestly, would you pay $500K of the team's allocation money for that win? I would.
I would.
I'm not saying it was like he
performed when it mattered.
Like he came through when it mattered. He didn't really. So on the play where Fry made the kick save on Bogus, I think Nathan was the one marking Bogus. But aside from that, like, I don't think you could ask much more from him in those circumstances. And for him to come in after Yamar goes down and for the team not to concede after that, that's big time. That's big time.
And dude, he hasn't played.
The depth of the team. When was the last time he played? I don't even know. I don't even know.
Dude came in and played significant, important, hard, like pressing minutes against one of the top attacking teams in the league, and was great.
He locked it down.
Had one error.
He locked it down.
I had one person that you didn't list.
Yeah. Go, please.
Georgie, man. Georgie.
Good shout.
Georgie should have an assist from the Jordan Morris goal.
I don't get like why he wouldn't get one.
He was the one who touched the ball out to him.
I thought it clearly hit him, but they would never give that to him. If it was Messi, they would give it to him. But Georgie,
the league is again. Don Garber hates Georgie. He actually gave that assist to Messi instead. So and how the bit goes.
Agenda check. You ready?
Ooh,
I should ask you if you had any.
I added one on there.
Oh, okay, you added one. All right. So there's a couple old ones and a new one in here. I wanted to revisit my one that I put out on the solo pod a couple weeks ago. The Stefan Fries, the MLS goalkeeper over Nick Raimondo agenda, strengthened. No disrespect, no shade at Nick Raimondo, the rightful title holder like of this last era. Like, I think when you, again, like I said it on the show that we talked about this, but like if you look at the trophy cases and then also you add another game like this to Stefan Fry's portfolio, come on, man. Like, he's got to be the best goalkeeper in MLS history.
Yeah, just the amount of games, not only like games that he's saved, right? But like, okay, this game is to go to the Western Conference Final. Does not happen without Stefan Fry.
No.
MLS Cup Final. CCL, right? Like all of these times where he's just gone crazy, okay? He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. Nick Raimondo, with respect, never would say a bad word about the guy. I'm sorry, but your reign is over. Stefan Fry, you're the GOAT.
Fry just had that wild look in his eye,
Oh, like, dude, he was playing out of his mind, man.
God, well, we have I think we have a question about that later, so we'll talk about that more. But goddamn, that was crazy. The Jordan Morris as the number 9 agenda. So what I'm talking about with this one is not like where should he play, but like should he be the like primary one next year? I was saying before the playoff run that this playoff run would be a case study for that question. He certainly made a statement that you kind of alluded to earlier, that, I think strengthens his case to be considered the primary number 9 on this team going forward. But I think it is still an interesting debate as you assess how they should tinker with this roster over the offseason. Should a Rui Diaz type skill set number 9 be on their offseason wish list with the intent of having Jordan be a first choice winger, like in a first choice 11, and then you rotate them at the 9? Or do you devote those resources to a wide attacker like that we've talked about and roll with and maybe a lower financial commitment signing for a backup striker like they've been doing and keep Jordan atop that depth chart? I don't know. We're going to talk about it a lot more. That'll be an off-season topic. But a goal like this certainly, like I said, it makes a pretty strong case to keep running with Jordan up top.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love Jordan, and I do think that he should still get good time at the 9. I think that he can be dynamic, though, and I really do think you could serve as a DP spot with a Benteke style 9 with the way that this team plays. I mean, that would be my dream. That would be my dream. But I do think that he's making it interesting, especially when there are other gaps to fill, and like your most expensive spot is always going to be your 9. If you can find production elsewhere, like, okay, Jordan's already there and he's clearly been able to do it at the highest level. So
well said. All right, this is the new agenda. This is the Seattle Sounders are still the class of the MLS Western Conference agenda. Strengthened, they could end the debate, I think, if they beat the Galaxy in this next game. But really, I mean, if you listen to the interview I did with Jordan or the read the piece that I wrote off that interview, like, that, everyone who follows this team and on the team is aware of the kind of pervasive narrative that surfaced that this team had been usurped by the LAFCs, by the Inter Miamis, by the Columbus Crews of the world. And Jordan told me that they heard that and that they took it personally, that people thought that their run was over and they wanted to make a statement. No, like, we are still the top dog out here. We have the decorated trophy case of this era. Lionel Messi lost to Dax McCarty. No, they didn't think that.
famously.
You know what I'm saying, though? Like, this was a statement that this team is still the top dog of the Western Conference, and really that they've run the league over this last era.
Yeah.
And LAFC, Columbus Crew, and even these Inter Miami of the last couple years, be damned.
It reminds me of a specific quote from Alexi Lawless that I had another MLS podcast back when I was like in high school. There was 2 episodes. You're never going to find them. Good luck. But Atlanta United, after they won their MLS Cup, right? Alexi Lawless said, Seattle Sounders move over. The new kings of MLS are Atlanta United. They were having record attendance. They were, explosive. They had, I mean, you knew that team. Yeah, exactly. You knew that team. And I said this, and I still have this clip. I said, it does not matter for this short period who dominates. It's about the longevity of a team. The Seattle Sounders at this point had made the playoffs every single year. They've won the Shield, 4 Open Cups. They've been the most successful team in MLS since they joined the league, right? And I was like, if Atlanta United can keep this up for 5-10 more years, happy to admit that. But I promise you that the Sounders are going to be right there with them, slugging away. Because even if there's a down season for the Sounders, there's always a chance that they come up with some silverware. There's always a chance that they put up some crazy, stupid numbers. And I mean, I think this is it. It's like, you cannot kill this team. You cannot.
You would think that we would have learned to know better than to doubt them at this point. I tried to make that point later in the season after they started playing better, and people were still.
It was bleak early in the season. I think we can both admit it was bleak
early in the season, but really since July, they've been playing a lot better. So
Yeah.
this has really been in the works. I think just how the LAFC games in particular went soured a lot of the good work they did the second half of the season. But Noah, that's the beauty of this result. It washes that away entirely.
Oh yeah.
That you realize, dude, the LAFC like 10-game unbeaten streak, that's a bit now.
It
That's
is.
a bit. They did that all so they could lose in the playoffs again. It means
Again.
nothing. It means nothing.
Again.
Like Seattle came out of a 10-game unbeaten run, like with the upper hand, bragging rights wise and status wise. That is, I mean, it doesn't get better.
They're royalty in the West. You can't touch us. You can't touch us. It doesn't matter.
Thank you for listening to the Sounder at Heart Podcast Network, which now includes Nos Arietes, Lobbing Scorchers, and the Cooler Guild. We've been independent since August of 2023, but need your support to make sure it continues. Although this podcast is free, it's only made possible by your continued support. Memberships start as low as $25 a year, which not only helps make podcasts like this one happen, but also gets you access to everything we produce. If you're able to support us at higher levels, starting at $75 a year, you gain access to a host of other perks, most notably entry into our members-only Discord, where the smartest, funniest, and most engaged commenters share their thoughts and ideas. To find out more, just visit sounderatheart.com and click the subscribe button in the top right corner. Thanks for listening.
And like, honestly, real quick before we get to your last agenda, like, I think Seattle people like should feel totally emboldened to flex that, man. Like, I know people aren't gonna like it, but like, that's the thing. Like, you have a unique team. As someone who came here as an outsider, I can tell you guys, it's a unique team. Like, most teams don't do this every single year, don't deliver moments like this with this regularity. Like, I just enjoy it, man. That's what I want to say.
We're spoiled, as I always say.
It's
Sounders
spoiled,
fans
yeah.
are spoiled.
Like, think of how much angst and complaining that you and I like.
Yeah.
I'll put us in that. Like, we
were in there.
We were whining about this offense all through the early season, justifiably so. And look where we are now. It's just crazy to think about. All right, what's your last agenda, Noah?
My last agenda, the Georgie should start agenda. I know we've been pushing this, but I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. I'm going to put it out there. I know that this has been a happy, positive podcast, but this man needs to start over De La Vega. Don't care. Don't care. Especially against the Galaxy, who are dog shit against the counterattack. This man needs to start. Start Georgie.
I don't feel as passionately about that as you do. I could see the argument for starting either one. And I do think like there's still an element of De La Vega gives you a.
I don't know what he gives you.
I think he gives you like he's a talented player. Okay, he's a talented player, and he gives you a more of a chance of reaching a higher ceiling than Georgie, who has upside too. But it's like,
but assisted,
you still don't
game winner.
You still don't know what you're going to get moment to moment, though. That's I'm just laying out the devil's advocate. Like,
but I think attacking wise, especially if you're going to go and look at this next game, would you rather have pace or skill on a game where ostensibly, like, because maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe you can correct me, but like the Galaxy are terrible at conceding in transition. That's like the whole, if you watch that Minnesota game, Kelvin Yeboah scores because he's fast and they counter the Galaxy.
Well,
and they have
okay,
a terrible defense.
Let's save this for the Galaxy preview. But like,
I'm getting ahead of us.
I like where you're going, and we're going to talk about that.
Georgie agenda.
Let's hit questions. What do we got?
Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your questions. Ladies and gentlemen, MBs, all of you, we love you. Colin asks, Steve Cherundolo, fraud watch?
Yeah, Colin, I think so. I mean, I think for LAFC,
they hate Dolo, man. They hate him.
Oh God, it's just like we had accepted that they were going to win. Yeah. We didn't even care anymore.
No.
And now
if you go back and you watch our appearance on Happy Foot Sad Foot, we're like, we got to tell ourselves something, like, like what?
It just, we'd been beaten down by 10 matches in a row. I said on Happy Foot, Sad Foot that a win here would erase all those sins. I wasn't especially confident that that would actually happen though, and especially in the manner that it did. But as far like getting back to the question, we'll see what they do with Steve C. I think that it's very undeniable that they've had a ton of success with him as the coach. I also think he's been there for a while now, and they've they've had way more games that they've choked like this than like trophies that they've won.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And LAFC is the kind of team that will get rid of a coach. They'll just be like, all right, let's do something new now, and let's sign $100 million worth of new players, like just for fun. So I don't know. I don't know. I feel like he's definitely on fraud watch for sure.
He's on watch.
But what will they do with him? That actually is going to be a fun, interesting offseason watch. So he's definitely on unemployment watch. So sign up on those papers, Steve C. Dave asks, first question, real talk. Who had the better semifinal, Fry or Guzan?
That's a really good debate. And okay. How about I make the Guzan case?
Yeah.
He was doing it against Messi and Inter Miami. Like, that is as legendary as Fry's game was. It wasn't against the literal goat. I don't know. Like,
goat and friends.
Like the Guzan game, I think the Guzan game was better. They were both amazing, and Fry's was one of the best games of his career, one of the best defensive goalkeeping performances in Sounders history, all that. We talked about that. The Guzan game was one of the single greatest performances on a soccer field like I've ever seen. And,
and it wasn't just one game.
People are going to say I'm like glazing that, but like he was incredible.
No, you're not glazing at all. And it wasn't just one game, by the way. It was 3 games. I mean, he played out of his mind for 3 games.
The whole playoffs, he was going crazy. They literally extended him yesterday at age 40 because of that. And I'm like, yeah,
dude, why not?
He looked like the greatest goalkeeper I've ever seen playing. And he literally single-handedly like beat Messi and the Barca boys. So it is a great question, and they both have shouts and cases, but like I think it's the Guzan game.
Guzan legitimately made Tata Martino crash out and quit. Like, think about that. That's, I mean, that's all I'm going to say. Matt asks, this might be controversial, but I actually enjoy watching a dominant defense shut down opposing attacks. I know that people want an electric attack, so do I, but our defense doesn't get enough credit for how fun they are to watch. And you were making this case on Happy Foot, Sad Foot, so cook it up, Ari.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I did make this case on Happy Foot, Sad Foot, and I think this is a great point, which is that when people see an elite defensive team, the automatic instinct is to call it like boring, bunker ball, troll ball. Defense is the foundation of it all, man. I love watching like a good CB frustrate opposing attackers, or like a feisty defender and how they game plan against the great offensive players. That's part of why the game's fun. And I think like a aspect of this Sounders team that you should appreciate and not shy away from is the fact that they are the best defensive team in the league right now, and they ride that to great effect. And they're also like, so much of soccer is about like tempo and game state, right? Like I always talk about that. And this team is excellent at that, and being elite on defense and just all around sound like that is part of that. And I mean, guys, that is the basis of why this team is able to do the stuff that they're able to do, is that right there. So great point, Matt.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the perfect Seattle team, right? Like Seattle, when you think of Seattle sports, you think about defense. You think about Legion of Boom winning a Super Bowl in excruciatingly amazing fashion. Like that is, I don't know. For me, that's Seattle sports.
Even Ken Griffey, some of the coolest shit he did wasn't the home runs. It was the home run robberies.
Exactly. We are a defensive city. We're a defensive city. And that is why the Seattle Sounders being a defensive team is fun to watch. But more than that, I agree. I really, really enjoyed watching this game because it frustrated the hell out of LAFC. And like that to me,
they had the leading goal scorer in the history of the French national team out there
doing nothing.
He was getting his cardio in. He had a good little he had a good little jog workout, but that was about it.
Dude was getting pocketed by El Salvador captain Alex Roldan. You know what I'm saying?
With a mustache.
With a mustache. I mean, shout out to the boy. You know what I mean? So I loved it too. Matt, great take there. Next up, Levi asks, Nathan was immense after coming on. Not really a question, but I'll pose this. Do we re-sign Nathan?
As a DP.
As a DP number 9.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that. He's on 500K and played about 25 minutes this year, and him coming on in that game and playing as well as he did is a good bit. But I included that comment from Levi, even though we already talked about it, because a lot of people were shouting him out after the game. And I think he's such, when we look back on this, he's such a key character in it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is interesting. Do they come back and offer him a lower number knowing that he was injured and he's a year older? Do they offer him
he looked good. He was making plays.
That's what I'm saying. Do they offer him? Do they offer him? Do they offer him a contract? I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I'll have to think about that.
Okay. All right. We'll stew on that. Next up, PNW Lesbian asks, those of us impacted by the bomb cyclone needed this tonight. Watched the game on my phone at a Panda Express parking lot because of no power or internet connection at home. Going back to a cold, dark house with day 4.5 with no power. Doesn't feel as bad with a Sounders FC playoff win.
Yeah, I had to include that one. That is amazing. I hope you got power back. But I like that you brought up the point of like everything that the city had been through over the past week or two. Sports can be such like a fun way to kind of get a respite from that stuff. And so I'm glad that you got that, the playoff dub without the power, and like the visual of you on your phone at
In a
Panda Express,
yeah.
watching the game, watching Jordan score, just going crazy at Panda Express is hilarious. Thank you for
You're
sharing.
A sicko just like us. We love it. I think what's even better too is like, I mean, related to this, when it started to drizzle in LA towards the end of that game, Ari, I was like, oh, this is an omen. We are winning this game. Like, I mean, I don't know about you. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, thank you for your questions, everybody. We appreciate you for sliding them in. Ari, I do have to bring this up though. You promised the people that you would jump on this Blue Sky application once we hit the correct subs. I'm calling you out live on the pod. We will be taking questions from this next game
I'm glad you brought it up. I've had a few people reach out to me about it as well, because I know a lot of people are making the switch over to Blue Sky. I have an account. I haven't started using it yet.
We'll link it down below.
I'm pretty bitter about the demise of Twitter, and I'm making the powers that be pry it from my cold dead hands. But I will be firing up the Blue Sky. You're right. I did say 680 subs on the YouTube and then blatantly didn't hold to that. So I'll do it.
Scammer.
I just have to like work up the wherewithal.
It's okay.
All right.
I still dual post. So, I'm right there.
Do you post the exact same like thing on?
I'll workshop on one, and then if one's a hit on one, then I'll go.
That's kind of, I kind of like that.
Yeah. Okay. It's like play your audience.
Let's preview this Galaxy game. I think we're gonna try and maybe talk more about this game later on this week if we can, but let's preview it right now, just because this is the Lobbing Scorchers matchup of all Lobbing Scorchers
and we're
matchups.
going. This is like the perfect.
So like really it's a boon for us. I did want to address one of the Lobbing Scorchers controversies because it's related to this topic. So I wanted to address one of the Lobbing Scorchers controversies real quick, which is that I've had more than one person talk about how they take legitimate offense to the War Galaxy podcast bit that we do. Like people, it's a Seattle show. Why do you praise the Galaxy so much? So I'm just going to explain how I think of the coverage that we do one time. And as we get more listeners, if more and more people have issues like this, I'm happy to reiterate it, but I'm going to put this out there for our listeners right now. Like we are Seattle guys. It's a Seattle show. And we do cover the Sounders, I think, like first and foremost, because that's the team. Yeah, that's the team that we follow the closest. And but we also cover all of MLS. I work for the MLS website, so I cover the whole league every day. That's what I do every day. So I have takes on the whole league, and that's just part of the show, is that we give our perspective and news and takes on everything going around in the league, and it's not just Seattle centric. So part of what comes with that is if I have a team that I think is playing well and I enjoy watching, I'm going to evaluate it like on the merits. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Galaxy suck just because Seattle fans don't like them. And just in this individual case, I think both Noah and I, they've been our favorite team in the league to watch for most of the year. So like, if people think that we like go over the top with it, I mean, to each their own, but I just, it's just it's a byproduct of covering the whole league and not just one team. So that's what I have to say about that.
We're sickos. We're going to cover the whole league. Like, once you get in as deep as us, it's impossible not to talk about this stuff because it's either here or it's in a group chat. And I'm sorry, we're making content out of it. You know what I mean? So.
No, exactly. And like, by the same token, like, we have a great deal of fun making fun of the teams that aren't playing as well, including the Seattle Sounders.
Well, the Sounders, but like the entire city of Columbus hates us. Like, I don't think we could go there. I don't think we were sanctioned.
Not that I was planning on it anyway, but
I mean, like, why would you?
But all right, but anyway, so like, I don't know if anyone's still hot and bothered about that, you can pop off about it, but I'm not gonna stop talking about the LA Galaxy, especially because the Seattle Sounders play them in the Western Conference Final on Saturday, and
always coming up Galaxy, baby.
Lobbing Scorchers is going, but this is a tasty matchup. This is the scariest attack in MLS still left in the playoffs. Noah, this Galaxy team looks, I mean, we've been saying it all year. I feel validated because I've been telling people that this Galaxy team, that people were not putting up with Columbus and Inter Miami and the elite teams in the league. I was saying early on that I felt like they were at that level. I think they played at that level offensively this year, and they have been absurd in the playoffs. They have 15 goals in 3 games. They scored 9 goals across their round 1 series against the Colorado Rapids, 9-1 combined score of those 2 games. And then they beat the shit out of Minnesota United.
They were bullying. They were bullying them.
They hung 6 on Minnesota United. They scored 6 goals. 3 different guys had a brace. Joey Paints was going off. Gabriel Peck was going off.
Possessed.
Ricky Pooge goes off every week. So all of that is to say, this is a big bad beast that the Seattle Sounders have got to get through.
Can I say something super, like, maybe out of pocket?
Yeah.
I think this team is better than Inter Miami.
See,
I think the Galaxy are better than Inter Miami. I think that's my take.
Well, okay. I don't know about better in terms of like if you actually had a way of quantifying skill level. I'm sure a team with Messi and the Barca boys would come out on top. But in terms of like these Galaxy guys are a lot younger and hungrier. You know what I mean? Like Ricky Pooge is only 23. Jovic is young. Joey Paints is late 20s. Gabriel Peck is more like mid 20s, I think. So this is not like
they just have so much swag too.
And they have swag. They have like we made this point a few weeks ago, but they are similar profiles of team of very, very high powered, turbocharged electric offenses and just snowball rolling down a hill type counterattacks. But this brings me to my point that I was going to make about the Galaxy, and as we assess Seattle's chances of winning this game, which is that you mentioned it earlier, you can get to this team. Mm-hmm. They concede goals. They concede control of the game state. They are reckless. They charge forward with abandon at all points of the game, and they score a ton of goals. But when you play like that, and we saw it with Inter Miami too, when you play like that as often and as consistently as those teams do, you're going to have your chances the other way. And if you are clinical, you can get into a shootout that you can hang with and you can win. We saw it was the demise of Inter Miami's season. I was saying the reason I wasn't, remember when we were doing the brackets, I didn't pick a Galaxy because of that. That is Seattle's hope in this game. And that is why the Galaxy are definitely the favorite. People are going to be talking all week, including us, that as we have all season, about how high-powered this offense is and how tough it's going to be tough for Seattle to stop, especially without Yamar probably. But I'm telling you, man, once this game starts, my prediction is that you're going to see it be a lot more open and Seattle have more chances than you would think, because this Galaxy team, they give up those chances.
Over under 4 goals in this match total.
I got to smash the over there. I feel like this.
I guess 3.5. I don't really know how that gambling. I don't do the gambling.
This has shootout written all over it.
All
not
over
penalty,
it.
not penalty kick, but like crazy. Like this could be but you know, like a conference final can also be cagey and defensive. And for me, I look at it like, honestly, if you can take the sting out of the game like you did against LAFC and turn it into a more kind of grinded out, low scoring type game, that suits Seattle much better
100%.
than LA.
They have to dictate tempo.
They have to do. Like if you end up in a 2017 MLS Cup at Toronto type situation where they're just overwhelming you and racking up chances, and Seattle can't keep the ball, and it's just like dangerous sequence after dangerous sequence, like you can't win games like that. So Seattle's got to do whatever they can I think to try it. Like if it becomes a crazy shootout, Seattle could win a game like that, but that favors the Galaxy quite a lot.
Yeah, I definitely think if you're looking at a crazy shootout and you look at what the two teams and their history this season, the Sounders they're just not that attacking threat, especially with, if you get deep into a game and it's, you're back and forth, their legs just aren't there on the attack for the Sounders, because you're going to have to sub in Raul, who hasn't really done anything, and I don't know. So I guess, I'll toss it back to you. Do the Sounders have a chance, Ari? Yes. Is it possible?
It's very much possible. They are the underdog. It'll be difficult. If you made me make a pick in this game, I'm probably going with the home team that scored 70 goals this year. This is a winnable game. I think this is just as winnable as the LAFC game, if not more, because LAFC was actually very good defensively this year. The Galaxy were better defensively than they've been the last couple of years when they were one of the worst defensive teams in MLS. But I'm telling you, there are going to be chances in this game. There are going to be chances in this game. It's just about if Seattle can finish them. That's it.
Yeah, no.
And if they are able to, yes, they have a chance at winning this game. This can be done.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I agree with you. I think for me, do the Sounders have a chance? Absolutely. I think if you were able to get that LAFC game done, I think that was the big test. And we said, if they are able to beat LAFC, I know it's still a big hill to climb, but they're in the driver's seat. They have everything is in their hands at that point, right? Like if you've done it in LA against LAFC, in both of our opinions, that was a way tougher matchup than the Galaxy, who are going to give you way more opportunities to score. And I thought that the Sounders did very well on the very few opportunities that they had against LAFC on attack. You're going to have way more chances against the Galaxy. And I mean, they effectively neutralized LAFC. I don't know. Like, it's going to be a tough one.
Seattle's also, I mean, they've just got, both of these teams have got the vibes going right now. I mean, the Galaxy are tearing through everyone, scoring all these goals. But they're going, like, they got to deal with Seattle now. They got to deal, Seattle's got to deal with their front four for sure. Mm-hmm. They also have to deal with Seattle's defense, which may or may not have Yamar. But, I mean, we'll see what happens. But, I would say, difficult but doable is how I would describe it. I wanted to talk about just our favorite matchups in this game, and I think that was it right there, which is that, like, it's this Galaxy front four versus this Seattle defensive midfield and back line. That's the matchup that will decide this game, and it's going to be so fun to watch, guys, because, like, I mean, all Galaxy podcast jokes aside, the reason that I talk about them so much and that I've watched more of their games, I think, this year than any other non-Seattle team. I watched Inter Miami a lot this year, obviously, and but probably the Galaxy, the second most out of Seattle, is because like not only are their offensive players really good, but they're really fun to watch.
Oh,
They
yeah.
play entertaining soccer. And they play extremely well together. And Ricky Puig is just
Unstoppable.
he okay, all right. So here's the thing: he giveth.
I was going to say before we started that, I was going to say my matchup is Ricky Puig and Obed and Christian together.
Yeah. Okay.
That is what I'm going to be watching this entire game. I mean,
and Ricky Puig, like he has like one of the most unique playing styles in MLS. That guy is like he's like the Energizer Bunny. First of all,
yeah.
like he kind of reminds me of Nico in that way. Like
he's
just
such a Barcelona player, man.
He's like
crazy.
He's like so he is an insane facilitator. Like one of, I think, the best dime dropper in the league outside of Messi. But he's also got like a lot of six in his skill set. It's almost like you add like a dash of João Paulo in there, like not like a lot, but like a little bit, and then like all the attributes of an elite number 10 with just a huge motor and the most accurate passing like that you're gonna see. But here's the thing about him though: he's pretty loose with the ball, and he is confident to a fault sometimes, so he gives it away a lot. He tries crazy stuff, so like that isn't always going to work, and it's really fun to watch. But you can get him off his game and not have him have the impact that he normally has if you play it right. But I mean, I think he's one of the toughest players in the league, if not the toughest player to league to like match up in game plan for, because he does so many things like at such a high level that you don't necessarily get from a player of his position, which I don't even really like know his position.
Yeah, no, I think
he's like everything.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was going to point on too, is like he will run all over. You will see him playing every position in a match. He'll be at center back at one point. You'll be like, "What the hell? What's
he'll drop so deep, like back where the D mids are to get the ball."
Yes.
And then he's so good at dribbling that he can either progress it himself or hit any pass,
and then plays a dime
he wants
to the wing, like, one of the fast wingers, and they're off and running.
And you're like, how is this guy just in 4 different places all over the field in the last 10 seconds, you know? So, like he's really the engine for their team that makes it all go. But then, I mean, their signings of Peck and Paintsill to flank him were brilliant. Like Will Kuntz, their sporting director, I think, like executive of the year for me. Like the work he did finding complementary players for Ricky Puig with Peck and Paintsill, and
to be able to re-sign Ricky Puig, by the way,
being able to sign Ricky Puig at all in the first place, and then,
but even to re-sign him,
and then flanking him with Peck and Puig, and they hit on Joveljic as well. So they're just a supremely stacked offense, but an improved but vulnerable defense. So that is. That's the situation with the Galaxy, but like that's why I've given them their praise this year, is because like when they get rolling, it's very tough to stop. And you've seen that in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. It's going to be, I mean, this was the dream matchup for me. I actually had this predicted in my original bracket, like on our MLS soccer predictions, like our bracket challenge. So this was the dream. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I still think LAFC wins this.
Galaxy?
Galaxy. God, look at me. Amateur podcaster hour.
LAFC didn't win it famously.
LAFC didn't win it famously. So that's not going to happen. But I am excited for this matchup. I will be very happy if the Sounders win, but I very much am expecting Galaxy to win this.
I think what do you think of the prospect of no Ymar? Because I've heard people, I've talked to people who say, "Oh, I don't think Seattle has a chance in this game without Ymar." I don't quite see it like that.
I don't agree with that.
I think it hurts and it makes it more difficult. But with a CB going out, I think it's a little easier to paper that over than an attacking player. I don't know if that's a bad take, but like like in this situation, like I think that is more manageable than it would be if you had to like put in like your 4th choice winger.
Yeah. Well, and we saw it earlier in the season when Ymar went out and then Jackson Reagan was filling in. I don't think it looked that bad. I don't think it was unplayable. I think that Jackson Reagan is still an incredibly talented player. I think Yamar and Reagan play off incredibly with each other, so it makes it even stronger. But I mean, yeah, I want him to play against the best offense in the West, but if he can't, like,
And the other thing about that is, even if Ymar plays, man, this Galaxy team's probably going to hang a couple on you in this game. I'm just telling you guys right now,
100%.
if they score first, like, don't be shocked if they score multiple goals in this game. Like, that's what this team does. I will say, though, before we get to this bracket stuff, like, we do have to acknowledge that these teams have played this year, and in Leagues Cup, Seattle destroyed the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Like, they handled them easily. That was in Seattle, to be fair. But I believe did they win 1-0 in LA this year, or was that a 1-1, or did they lose?
They
1-0?
drew, I believe, in
I think
LA.
they drew 1-1.
Yeah.
So, like, they went to Dignity Health Sports Park to play
Yeah.
this exact team and 1-1 it earlier this year, and then beat the hell out of them in Leagues Cup. So they already know that they can play with this team. And if you remember that Leagues Cup game, the Galaxy didn't really start cooking until the second half, and they did get a patented, really nice Galaxy Ricky Puig to Gabriel Peck goal late, but they couldn't stop. Remember, they couldn't stop Seattle on set pieces in that game.
No, I remember that
at all. Like, and Seattle was just having a field day. So that's just another thing that makes me think that Seattle's chances, Ymar might not be as long of odds as is being said in some circles.
Yeah, no,
right.
We'll see what happens. That's where I'm at.
I can't wait. It's exciting that we're going to the city of Los Angeles.
Yeah. It wasn't 1-1. It was a 0-0 draw.
See, that's even like
at Seattle, and then before that it was 1-0
at Galaxy.
But still, I mean, holding them to one goal.
Yeah, exactly. I think what you've seen from the times that they played this year is that Seattle's defense. Now, they had Ymar in those games, but the point is, they showed that they can hang with this team.
But that was also March Seattle. That was also March 30th.
That was March
Seattle. Rui Diaz starting at the 9. Seattle. So
that wasn't Jordan Moore's extra time game winner. Team of Destiny. Seattle. You know.
Yeah.
So,
that Seattle is 3-1 to the Sounders. So we'll see what happens. Let's move on.
Are we doing amended brackets?
Yeah, let's do amended brackets. I like this because I like to be, have some accountability on our takes here. But I guess we could run back on what we picked before, talk about how we felt about our picks, and then pick our MLS Cup winners and go from there.
All right. So what game should we start with?
Well, let's start with Red Bulls in Atlanta. Red Bulls in Atlanta. We both were juiced on Atlanta. I think we were sipping on the sauce a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's not much more to say on it than that. That was a vibes pick, and it backfired.
Yeah, no, they bombed out and have not seen the light of day.
It was 1-0. So I don't know. And we're going to talk about Rob Valentino's future, but yeah, I think we fell, like you said, we got lost in the sauce on that.
Yeah. So advancing off of that was Orlando, which I think this could be a really interesting MLS Cup final. If you get Orlando and Seattle, Nico Ladero revenge match, that could be insane in Seattle. Oh,
that's on the table.
It's on the table, and the two hottest teams in the league down the stretch would be crazy. Yeah. It shows that this league can be a momentum league.
That's also this is like not that relevant, but Orlando Seattle when it's green on purple is one of my favorite kit matchups in the league. Also, Seattle Red Bulls is one of my favorite kit matchups in the league. So
yeah, that green and red.
Yeah.
So Red Bulls New York City FC. I had Red Bulls. You had New York City FC. Obviously, Red Bulls ended up taking that
easily.
Game. You were not very convinced about your pick to begin with, so I'll let you.
I liked NYCFC this year because I like the commitment that they showed to their young players, and I think they really came together throughout the year. They started the year really bad, but once their young guys got their feet under them and started cooking, their team was fun to watch. But like, I think ultimately it's kind of like a developmental type season for them where they're sort of finding their identity and bringing all these young guys up. And I think the inexperience kind of finally caught up to them. When you have a team that's that young, like this NYCFC team, like making a full playoff run is tough. It's tough.
It is.
And
Yeah.
I think that's sort of what happened to them. And against a Red Bulls team that, whenever Emil Forsberg has played this year, they've been pretty damn good. So
Yeah, no, I thought we talked about that, how having him back in the playoffs is like, it kind of completely changes the narrative around that team in a way.
they're not like a normal 7 seed or whatever.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
so who are we picking here? Orlando or the New York Red Bulls to be your Eastern Conference bottom seed?
I'm gonna do the same thing I did with the Atlanta series and probably regret it. But I think the Red Bulls have something going right now. That's what it feels like to me. And I know that, like I said, I based the Atlanta pick on that and it backfired. But I think there's more substance and less purely vibes based to what like the Red Bulls are doing. And I feel like I want to pick the underdog too. So
I dig it. I am also feeling the Red Bulls. I feel like they have more attacking power. I don't think that Orlando's bad by any means. And honestly, like either way, like it kind of feels like whoever comes out of the West is going to have a heavy upper hand, especially playing at home. But I'm going with the Red Bulls. I'm sticking with my pick from last week. Red Bulls in the final. So let's jump over to the West. We had Seattle and LA. You picked LAFC. I picked Seattle. We were trying to do a little differing picks there. I didn't believe in my pick. I'll be honest. I didn't believe my pick was going to come true. But here we are, Seattle Sounders, champions, going to the Western Conference final. We laid it down already, but I don't know. Do you have anything else to add?
Don't I have to pick?
Oh, well, against... you picked that one. Yeah.
I already picked I picked LAFC. I picked El Tráfico final and then Galaxy to go through.
Yeah.
My cup pick is intact.
Yeah. Your cup pick is intact, but I just meant to say answering for your Seattle non-belief against LAFC.
Oh, you want me to answer for that? I mean, I don't feel that bad for not believing in it because the 10 games prior,
no one did.
Yeah, well, no one did, but also I go off past precedent for these things.
I was with
you. If you have a 10 game winless streak, I'm not gonna pick you to end that until you end it. And to be fair, they ended it. Whenever I have a take like that, I would love to be proven wrong, and they proved me wrong. I couldn't be happier about it.
Yeah. So then the other matchup was LA Galaxy versus Minnesota. Neither of us believed Minnesota was even going to touch the Galaxy. They got blown off the face of the earth. I mean, goodbye. So now we have a Seattle versus LA Galaxy Western Conference matchup to send the winner to a home MLS Cup final. Who are we going with here? This is a tough one, Ari.
Bucket, I'm picking Seattle.
Let's go.
I mean, these conference finals are total toss-ups, and everyone knows the regard that I hold this Galaxy attack in. But I'm telling you, they can get got. I would be pretty surprised if playing as kind of crazy and undisciplined as they do at times, if they're able to win MLS Cup this year. They might beat Seattle, but like we saw it happen with Inter Miami. When you play like that, and that's why I feel like, looking back on it, I had this nagging thought in my mind that would be Inter Miami's undoing in the playoffs. And I went against it because all year when it seemed like that was going to bite them, it hadn't. But when you get to the playoffs, that stuff can catch up to you. And that was my worry with this Galaxy team, irrespective of if they played Seattle. So me picking against them at this juncture in the playoffs, it's something it's logic that I might have come to even if this was a different matchup for them.
Yeah, I'm going with the LA Galaxy. I'm going to be the non-believer. Okay,
I like it when we do different.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's just for the bit. I'd prefer to pick against you, but I believe
make the Galaxy case.
Here is the Galaxy case. This is I argued it was the best team in the league above Inter Miami, but definitely the best offense left in this playoff format. They are a buzzsaw, and I mean certified, not LAFC buzzsaw. This is a team that cannot be stopped with a 10 that is just incredible. Someone who will facilitate out everywhere. He will play center back. He will play right. He'll play whatever position he needs to. He's going to magically steal that ball from you. He's going to work it up the field. They're going to hang 6 on you. Have they scored any less than 4 goals in any playoff game this?
No, they've scored 5+ in every single one, including, or it was 4-1. It was 4-1.
Yeah.
So 4 is the lowest number they've scored.
I'm sorry. How are you going to argue against that production? I don't care who they were playing.
And their defense has been playing well.
That's what I'm saying. So I am LA Galaxy.
They did get to my point earlier. They did get bammed on by Yeboah twice in that game. It didn't matter because they scored 6. I don't think they're going to score 6 on Seattle. I don't.
No, I definitely.
I think they're going to get 2.
4.
I think the Galaxy are going to score twice, and whether Seattle wins can come down to whether they can outscore that or get the 2-2 to penalties. I
could see him drawing PKs here, and God knows what'll happen there. But
I would be surprised if Seattle didn't score in this game.
Oh, I think they will as well.
I think they will at least once.
To our final. We have different finals here. Seattle Sounders at home against the Red Bulls. Another MLS Cup at home, Ari. We will both be there if this happens. So I hope this happens, but who's winning that?
This is such a homer pick, but I'm not gonna pick against the home team in that scenario. Like, pretty much, if you ever ask me to pick MLS Cup, I'm just gonna pick the home team.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout there. I picked LA against the Red Bulls. My continued pick for MLS Cup champion since the beginning of this series, since the beginning of the playoffs, have been LA. My headphone fell out, but it doesn't matter. I'm picking the LA Galaxy to win this. They're lifting the 2024 Philip Anschutz US Open MLS Shield.
All right. We have a few more news items to hit before the end of the show. We're going to do these fast because I'm kind of paranoid that this is going to freeze. And if we lose all this, I'm going to jump out my window.
Yes.
So let's just do a couple quick minute, couple minute quick hitters at the end here on the MLS news. Then we'll get out of here for episode 75. Wilfred Nancy, coach of the year. That was announced since we last recorded. Congratulations to him, but get bammed on, get a backup goalkeeper. Vanni Sartini out in Vancouver in a surprise move. That is a huge L for Lobbing Scorchers. Noah's really torn up about this. It's really... I was on Axel Schuster's Zoom. I'm like the Whitecaps beat guy for our website, I guess.
I love that.
I'm always on the Whitecap stuff. It's because it's West Coast. That's why.
Yeah. Do you ask questions?
I do sometimes. I didn't.
Okay, so he knows you. Do you think we can get him on the pod?
It's always on Zoom when I don't have my video on. He definitely would not recognize me type stuff. But I am like on Whitecaps calls sometimes with my hand raised. I'm like, am I honorary?
Might as well.
I do that with a lot of the teams, but it's more the Whitecaps than usual. But anyway, I was surprised that Vanni got let go. He's a Lobbing Scorchers icon because he has the best press conferences in the league, and I need another team to hire him because of that. And he just seems like I
want to have a beer with him so bad, dude.
Well, and there's pros and cons. The press conferences are great for us. Some of the stuff he said at them, there was moments of his tenure where, and I think honestly, some of the kind of craziness of his character might have been they want someone that's more serious, not to say that he's not serious, but it's just he almost became a caricature at times, and maybe that's why they wanted to go in a different direction. But either way, we don't support that. We think Vanni Sartini should have been extended, but the Whitecaps also turned out to not have that great a year this year, so yeah.
They did bam on Portland in the funniest game ever, though. So we will take that dub. Thank you, Vanni, for your service to this league. We love you.
Someone in MLS, please hire this man.
Please.
Nick Cushing out in NYC, which that's a little less surprising to me, just because for as good as they looked at times this year and as much as they improved, they were very inconsistent, and they're a team that expects to be contending every year, and it didn't feel like they really were at any point this year. And Cushing's been there for a couple years, and they've gotten some of the most pedigreed coaches in the league. So I'll be interested to see who they hire. I think they're a pretty well-run organization on like the scouting and development side. And like I expect whatever hire they make to be like, it's New York City. They'll do something that pops.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with the new stadium on the way.
Yeah, exactly. Rob Valentino has parted ways with Atlanta United, which we just talked about this a couple weeks ago. And
no one's taking the Lobbing Scorchers advice, Ari.
I think it's dumb, man. Garth came out and had a quote where he was saying like implying that the team was much better than the results were showing on the field, kind of implying that the coaching should have been able to get more out of like this awesome roster. I don't know.
Garth, what are we talking about, dog?
We love Garth. Like,
we do.
Garth he is goated around here. Like, I don't know what.
I'd love to have him on the pod.
I don't know. Oh, hell yeah. Like, he's one of the best. But I would love to ask him, like, what Atlanta United roster he's looking at compared to the one that I'm looking at. Because, like, Rob Valentino beating Messi with that roster, how are you going to say he underachieved? He way overachieved. And also, I'm telling you that vibes matter and stuff like this. Like, if you have a guy, I'll always caveat, I don't know the inner workings of their locker room dynamics and his relationship with the players, but like from the outside, it seemed like the vibes with him as the coach and just that what the players seemed to think of him and how they played for him and how they ended up kind of putting it together in the playoffs after squeaking in and like beating Messi. And like, I think sometimes you just ride that. You just ride that. Like,
yeah.
That worked, like the Schmetz, and Garth knows this. He did that with Schmetz.
He did it with Schmetz, yeah.
And it worked. And I thought he might be like this. I should do this again. But I will acknowledge that their brass knows a lot more about it than we do to be able to make that decision. But as an outsider, my first thought was like, you guys should have just kept rolling with Valentino, man. You should have.
Yeah, I agree. Fans
so the unexpected thing. Everyone's expecting you to part ways with Valentino and hire some big name like Gabriel Heinze, who those guys haven't been working out. What could have cooked was going with the USL guy, the former Orlando City, like rugged up and coming coach that people don't know about, who's doubted. Like that would have been more fun. Anyway, I just went on a Valentino rant when I said
we're pro Valentino podcast.
I think it's a bad call. We'll see how it works for Atlanta United. Maybe they get some crazy hire. I think it's a bad call. Inter Miami does have a new coach, and it's former another. It's literally they hired another Barca boy.
Dude, this is okay. This one perplexes me. You lay it out, but like I'll lob it.
I mean, so it's Javier Mascherano, who played with Messi and all these guys at Barcelona for years, and he's Messi's former teammate from the Argentine national team and coach, I believe, right, from the Argentine national team. So legendary player has.
I was almost right with this. I was almost right.
Actually, that's a good point. You almost were. You were like you had the wrong Javi. But yeah. So he this is a legendary player, Argentine international, former Messi. But like, okay. So I mean, my thoughts on this are that it's very clearly like they're just hiring another Barca boy without much regard for like how much of a coaching fit it really is. It's more like this is Messi's boy and we like him and we're going to hire him.
We're trying to keep Messi around.
Which doesn't seem like a good process. But I guess my point would be like, I don't really think that matters that much with this team. No. Like I fully I could coach this team to further than Tata got them in the playoffs
for sure
this year.
Yeah. No, like
you give me this roster, I would have had Inter Miami still playing right now.
Oh yeah, we would. Yeah.
I say that facetiously, obviously.
But give him a contract.
But
give him a contract.
Like I guess it just my overall point there is it doesn't matter really who the coach of Inter Miami is. They're probably going to win or be up there with the Shield's leaders next year. All right, I think that we can call it right there for episode 75. I did have one more thing I wanted to talk about with the controversy on the Lobbing Scorchers YouTube, but like we're running short on time. So the only thing I'll say is that everyone who is upset about the video we put on YouTube about me defecting to the Canadian national team, the clip from our last show, everyone who's accused of engagement baiting, hey, we would never engagement bait. like that. Don't accuse us of that. But in all seriousness, your comments and your views are fueling us, and we love it.
We love it. Go sub to the YouTube.
Sub to the YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, write us a
5
review.
stars.
5 stars. Share with Joseph Painsil.
Vanny Sartini, for sure.
Vanny Sartini. Until next time. Well, actually, wait. We'll see you in LA.
We'll see you in LA.
Until next time, we out.
Peace.